Welcome to Daily Drive for Tuesday, June 16th, 2026. I'm Kellen Walker in Las Vegas. Today on the show, a peace deal with Iran may be in the works, but don't expect relief at the service counter anytime soon. The EU-US trade deal clears a major hurdle, and two big GM suppliers are taking their spat public. Plus, RC Lacy Auto Group's Nicole Lacy gives us a look at the F&I trends she's seeing on the dealership floor.
With the leasing, I've seen people recently put $8,000 to $10,000 down on a lease to get it under, $500-$600 and make it affordable to them. But I haven't seen that ever.
Let's run through all the news you need to know to keep up in the auto industry. Even with a preliminary U.S.-Iran peace deal reportedly on the table, don't expect quick relief for dealer service lanes. The ongoing conflict has blocked nearly a fifth of global oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz, disrupting supplies of synthetic motor oil and other petroleum-based products. Nissan has already started rationing oil supplies to U.S. dealers. The National Automobile Dealers Association says members are concerned about dwindling synthetic oil inventories. And according to the Independent Lubricant Manufacturers Association, lubricant prices aren't expected to ease until at least mid-2027. The EU-US trade deal is one step closer to reality. The European Parliament voted today to ratify the agreement, ahead of a July 4th deadline imposed by President Trump. Here's the deal. The EU drops tariffs on U.S. industrial goods and, in exchange, gets a 15% ceiling on its exports to the U.S. But Germany's VDA says even that rate is still squeezing its automakers. And even under the deal, friction over metals tariffs and tech regulations could still cause tensions to flare up again. EU member countries are expected to give final sign-off June 26. And a rare public supplier spat is playing out at top levels of two major GM vendors. Lear CEO Ray Scott trumpeted a mid-cycle conquest win, snagging GM's wire harnessing business for its T1 full-size SUV program from incumbent Aptiv. Aptiv CEO Kevin Clark fired back on his own earnings call. He called the lost business low margin and build to print, and called Scott's comments about Aptiv's GM relationship disturbing. The clash reflects a broader squeeze. With fewer new platforms to fight over, suppliers are increasingly poaching business from each other. And those are today's headlines. You can find more details on all those stories at autonews.com. Ford's $30,000 electric pickup is breaking cover. The automaker has been testing heavily camouflaged prototypes in California, and the camo suits include a QR code linking to new video footage. What CEO Jim Farley calls Ford's answer to low-cost Chinese EVs, due in 2027. Here to talk about it is Michael Martinez, who covers Ford for us at Automotive News. Mike, welcome back to Daily Drive.
Thanks, Kel.
All right, Mike, so how close is this truck to being production ready, and what does the footage actually tell us about where Ford stands?
Well, we're getting pretty close here. We know the truck's going to launch in 2027. We heard when I was in Long Beach to tour that EV center, they said they would start rolling out prototypes in the coming weeks to test them on streets. They're going to start doing more builds in Louisville at the plant where it will be produced. So we'll see more and more on the roads as the year goes on rather. But I'd say just in terms of what we can tell about the truck from these prototypes, not much. That camo is really good and they lay it on pretty thick. Although we can at least distinguish the size. It looks small. It looks like a Maverick, not like a Ranger. Ford has said consistently it's a midsize, but it looks way more like a compact, at least in automotive news parlance.
Now, Ford is building this as the foundation for an entire platform. What's the bigger picture beyond just this one truck?
Well, we know there'll at least be a handful of models on this UEV platform. We reported last year in last year's future product pipeline that there would be a small crossover coming after the pickup in 2028. You guys can stay tuned for a couple more months for the next future product. We'll probably have an update there. But Ford's made a point to say that they can move to any type of body style, including sedans, with this platform. So a lot of optionality there.
Perfect. Mike, always insightful. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Cal.
Nicole Lacy is a business manager with the RC Lacy Auto Group, where she works the F&I office day in and day out. She joins Automotive News retail reporter John Hutter to talk about the latest trends she's seeing, from shifting customer attitudes to what's moving the needle on product sales.
Obviously affordability is a big issue we're hearing about, and it's kind of, but it's looking more and more like the Fed isn't going to cut rates either tomorrow or really for the rest of the year. In fact, there's a possibility it could even raise them a quarter point. And so I was kind of looking at, is that going to be manageable for you guys? Like, how bad does that jam your store, or I guess stores technically?
I mean, interest rates, it's always a struggle. It's always a hurdle that we have to get over. I was discussing these things with my brother and other managers, and they were just like, it's another hurdle that us as dealerships have to get over. The past 5 years, it kind of just seems like it's one thing after another. And they promise that, oh, the rates are going to be cut. And then next thing you know, like you just said, they're actually being raised a quarter point. It's nothing we haven't done before in the past. It is an extra hurdle. It does make it a little bit tougher, more cash deals versus financing, not as many people coming in through the doors, but it's nothing we haven't seen before. So I know we'll be able to get through it.
Sure. No, that's fair. Yeah. And it's funny. I kind of heard that from, like Cox had a kind of a similar take. Well, it's like dealers have just gotten used to it, like
Yeah.
just And then kind of the other finance one is the loan term lengths, because that seems to be the main way dealers are managing affordability. And I was curious to kind of get your take on what you guys are seeing. Like it looks like it is starting to creep up. Like if you guys are seeing more 72, 75, 84, or kind of talk about what you guys are seeing on the ground with longer loan terms.
I would definitely say on average, our loan rate is 66, 72. I have a couple of banks who've come in and are like, yeah, we're going to push it until 96 months. We don't want that. I mean, it's bad enough. We got a 6-7 year term coming in, and, the turn rate isn't as fast and everything. So I don't want to see that 96-month one, but there are banks out there trying to make that, next step so it can be affordable for the consumers. We try to put a lease on every kind of right back just to, compare and kind of keep the trade cycle a little shorter, keep our customers coming in sooner rather than later. But the 72, 84 months is definitely happening a lot more than it used to.
Talk about, you said, so with the leases, so you kind of offer that as like, hey, we can do a 72-month loan, or we could do a lease with this monthly payment.
Yeah. So our salespeople are trained to, during, the initial meet and greet, when they're trying to learn about the customer and everything like that, kind of drop the seed about leases just so we can, show, yeah, you're still going to have a $600 a month payment and you're out 6-7 years, or we can lease it and, you're $200, $300 lower. So it's just something that we try to, put out there, let the customer decide, but also kind of help us out in the meantime.
No, that makes sense. Talk about the return cycle. What are you guys seeing a blip? Like, let's say historically, if you did a 60-month loan, they would come back in 3 years, but the ones that you've done 72 in the past, or I'm just making these numbers up, but they're coming back in 4 or 5. Talk about how that plays out, in terms of when they return at different loan lengths.
Yeah, when we had shorter terms and even more incentivized shorter terms, 60-month terms, we'd be seeing people around the 4-year, 4.5-year mark coming back sooner, or at least, 3 years into the loan. I'm looking for next year. What are my options? Start the conversation. Now with the 6-7 years, they might come in within 6 years at the 7.
Wow.
They're holding on to their vehicles a lot longer. I don't have a car payment right now. I had a 1.9 36-month loan. I haven't had a car payment in 3 years. I have an 800 credit score and you're still quoting me 6-7% with a $700 payment. Why would I come in and do that right now when I haven't had a car payment? It's been a few years. I'll wait to see what happens, kind of thing.
That's interesting. So it's not even a negative equity thing that's keeping them out of it. It's just that their prior deal was so good that they paid it off and they don't want.
No, it's crazy. I mean, the past, well, now it's been 6 years since COVID, but the past 6 years in the car industry it's been wild. We had COVID, the chip shortages,
Yeah.
everything between interest rates. And if these people got in when it was hot for that time to trade in the used vehicle, they were getting crazy numbers for their trade in. And now when they're coming in and seeing 6-7% interest rate, not having that extra equity in their trade, to them, it doesn't make sense. And that's a big hurdle we're getting over.
Are you running into a big negative equity issue because of loan lengths, or was that more of just the prices that things were at a few
So
years
it's
ago?
both. Because of the loans and everything, we are seeing quite a few more people in a negative equity situation. And no one wants to roll that over into a new loan, especially with interest rates and the price of vehicles. But yeah, the longer terms and the loans and everything, that definitely affects the equity and inequity in their vehicle.
Are you guys running into a more negative equity kind of situation just in general with consumers, or is it the same amount but it's higher what they're packing in terms of it?
It truly depends. I would say probably 50% of our customers, we can get them out clean, not necessarily having any equity or inequity in their vehicle, kind of like making it clean. But it also depends on what their interest rate before, what their credit score was. Those all kind of fall into play. A good credit score, yeah, we can definitely try to get you out. Anything that's a little bit lower, more of a challenge is we've been seeing a little bit more of that lately.
In ballpark, what would you estimate are 72 and above loan lengths that you're dealing with, that you're running into, or I guess that your customers are taking out now today?
Yeah, I mean, I would say we have a pretty high 60-70% are doing 72. Being a Subaru dealer too, they're kind of incentivizing out that far as well. So it's why wouldn't they take it even if they want to pay it off sooner? But I would say a majority of our customers who are taking the loans are going the 72 month.
Interesting. Are you getting anybody going longer? Are you getting any 84s or?
Yes.
Or
Yep.
yeah.
So we have few banks and everything who will stretch the term out from 72 up to 77 months kind of thing. So you give people that leeway. And then the 84 up to 86. And if it just happens to fall, make their payment $20 less, customers are taking it.
Interesting. And when your estimate about 70%, that'd be 72 and above, right? It'd be just anything that's that long, like including the 84s. Yep. Okay, gotcha. And then the last affordability one, I got some data from Experian talking about how there are still, it's like 20% of the deals they're seeing out there are new vehicles, and you can actually get a payment under $500 a month. But they sent me kind of a list, and I think I sent that to you, of kind of what vehicles they are. And so I'm trying to get a handle on, is it just like incentives and people with, insanely good credit? Or can you actually put regular people into, sub 500 a month payments? And I mean, since Ford and Subaru had a lot of vehicles that are more affordable or in that range, I wanted to get your take as, somebody who sells both of those.
Yeah. No, it's definitely incentive wise, having money down, what their credit score is. You kind of have to have like the perfect trifecta for it to be that amount. I mean, going back to affordability, especially with some of those vehicles too, with the leasing. I mean, I've seen people recently put $8,000 to $10,000 down on a lease.
Oh, wow.
To get it under, $500-$600 and make it affordable to them. But I haven't seen that ever. So it's definitely, like I said, the incentives, the money down, the credit score, all of that kind of plays into that lower number.
So even with the more like something like a Maverick or something like that, the customers really can't get like I think that's the cheapest thing Ford sells these days. They can't really get a sub 500 unless it's, amazing credit or something like that.
Yeah. It would be close. I haven't ran one in a while, but a majority of it is the incentives, the good credit score, and money down.
Kind of on that note, just talk about kind of the affordability more in general, what you're seeing with consumers. I know we touched on loan lengths a little bit, but just kind of, I don't know, what problems are you running into, or just in general, what affordability strains are you finding as a dealer?
We're having a lot of people take cash out of their retirements, their 401ks right now, everything like
Jeez.
that. And
Wow.
yeah, it's awful to hear that that's what they're doing because they'd rather, have something that they can drive and it's safe. It's something different than what they have. But at the same time, it's like you're digging into your retirement fund right now, or they're taking out, a home equity loan because it makes more sense than paying the finance rate on these vehicles. There's really no talking them out of it either because, how you said, interest rates, they're not going anywhere. But that's what we've seen a lot of. Um,
Wow.
a lot more cash deals, a lot less traffic. It's, just trying to stay relevant and get out there and find ways that we can get these cars off our lot and affordable for customers.
Are more and more of your customers piling into used, or do they still, the new buyer is still the new buyer? I was talking to a guy at Edmonds about that, where it's like psychologically, the guys that want new, it's a lot to make them, for them to switch to used. Is it skewing more used these days for you guys, or?
We're in a very interesting location in upstate New York, so our trends are definitely a little bit different than everyone else's. Right now, for the past few months, we've done essentially 50-50, 50 new, 50% new, 50% pre-owned. You do have those buyers who are the true lease buyers too, which every 3 years they want a brand new vehicle. They like the new technology, new safety, all of that. And then you have the more conscious, I guess, people who would say, nope, I want a pre-owned one. I want the better warranty on it. I want all the bugs and stuff like that already out of it. The depreciation's out of it. But we're in a unique spot up here, so it's about like 50-50.
That's Daily Drive for today. I'm Kellen Walker. Thanks to Automotive News executive producer Jake Neer, as well as our own Michael Martinez for his reporting for today's podcast. We also had reporting from Kurt Nagel of our sibling publication, Crane's Detroit Business. You can get the latest news on Ford's EV strategy, trade policy, and everything happening in the auto industry at autonews.com. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think of the show and the topics we covered today. Send us an email at dailydrive@autonews.com or leave us a voicemail at 313-444-2774. And if you enjoy the podcast, remember to like, leave a review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.